A man who lived alone in a small apartment covered almost every part of his home with religious items. Crosses, Bible verses, and handwritten prayers filled the walls and shelves. To other people, it looked like strong faith, but the truth was much darker. Everything changed after he visited his late father's grave. Soon after returning home, he started feeling like something had come back with him. At first, the strange events were minor. He heard quiet noises late at night, and small objects would appear moved from where he had left them. One afternoon, he woke up from a nap after hearing a loud metallic sound coming from another room. He quickly grabbed his phone and began recording what was happening around him.
Bueno, estoy grabando este video porque estoy tratando de dormir, pero acabo de escuchar un golpe duro por allá en la sala, entonces decidí grabar porque hace días que se viene presentando cosas extrañas en el apartamento. Son las 4:15 de la tarde, entonces me parece muy extraño que hasta ahora están sucediendo como cosas raras. Entonces, miren, ese es el comedor. Tengo las ventanas cerradas, miren. Esto viene sucediendo hace como una semana ya. Pues la verdad se me hace muy extraño. Se me hace muy extraño que estén pasando cosas así.
When he checked the kitchen, he saw utensils slowly moving on their own. The windows were closed, there was no wind, and the apartment was completely silent. As the days passed, the activity became more intense. While filming himself praying, he desperately tried to force whatever presence was inside the apartment to leave.
En el nombre de Jesús te ordeno que te vayas. En el nombre de Jesús ordeno que te vayas. No tienes derecho de estar aquí. Ordeno que te vas. Ordeno que te vas en el nombre de Jesús.
A few nights later, around 3 in the morning, both he and his girlfriend were suddenly awakened by loud noises coming from the kitchen.
Bueno, voy a grabar este video porque nuevamente se están escuchando en el apartamento ruidos. Son las 3 de la mañana con 16 minutos y... Escucha. Sí, amor, sí te escucho. ¿Se la sala?
Sí. Escucha.
Esta vez no estoy solo, esta vez es con mi novia que por fin decidió venir a acompañarme, pues estaba asustada debido a todas estas cosas que están pasando. ¿Dónde es eso, no?
La cocina.
¿Qué fue eso?
¿Te ayuda?
Yo voy a mirar. ¿Qué es aquí, amor? ¿Qué es aquí? Señor bendito. Amor, quédese acá. Quédese acá. Yo voy solo, amor.
No, yo no.
Prenda la luz, prenda la luz. Se ve todo tranquilo por acá. En el nombre de Jesús, manifiéstate. Parece que en la cocina. En el nombre de Jesús, manifiéstate. Vaya para el cuarto, amor.
No.
¿Qué fue eso? ¿Está bien, amor? ¿Está bien? En la cocina. Cuidado con la cocina. Manifiéstate en el nombre de Jesús. Te ordeno que te manifiestes. ¿Qué fue que sonó así ahorita?
La cocina.
Mierda. Pero amor, mira, va a ser una mentira, ¿no? Es un vaso. Es un vaso. Mira todos los carbones están abiertos. Quiero que me hace aquí eso.
Wind chimes were shaking violently, and different items had been thrown across the floor. Even stranger, there were no signs that anyone had entered the apartment. Shortly after the incident, his girlfriend started feeling sick for no clear reason. The most terrifying experience happened late one night when he heard heavy footsteps rushing toward him from the darkness. Before he could react, he claimed an invisible force hit him, even though no one was there. Since then, he has continued praying every day because he believes whatever followed him home never truly left. 2nd, July 2025. A motion-activated security camera inside a living room captures something unusual while the owner is away at work. His phone suddenly alerts him that the camera has been triggered. He later shares the clip himself, including the original timestamp from the app. According to him, no one was supposed to be inside the house at that time. The recording begins with an empty room. After a few moments, the family dog enters normally, moving around and sniffing as usual. But then it suddenly freezes in place, as if something has caught its attention. On closer inspection, something strange happens with the dog's collar. At first glance, it is easy to overlook, but in a clearer version of the footage, the collar appears to tighten and shift sideways, almost as if an invisible force is pulling it. It looks like something unseen is grabbing it directly at neck level. Some viewers might assume it is just a camera error or video distortion. However, the owner insists the collar has a manual release buckle, which would not move or tighten from pressure alone. In his view, something would have needed to physically manipulate it. After this incident, the dog's health reportedly began to decline. Over the next month, it was taken to the vet 3 times, but no clear cause was found. The symptoms would disappear for a while and then return again without warning. The owner has not moved out of the house, but he no longer leaves the dog alone inside. To this day, it is still unclear what originally triggered the camera before the dog entered the room. On September 3, 2025, a man named Craig recorded a strange incident while doing construction work at his wife's grandmother's house. The property was completely empty at the time, with no furniture and no sign that anyone had been living there. On the final day of work, as Craig was wrapping things up, he noticed something unusual out of the corner of his eye. He immediately took out his phone to record what was happening and captured something unsettling. In the footage, a pale gray hand can be seen at the window, slowly moving the blinds. A faint figure then appears to peek inside before quickly pulling back out of sight. Shocked by what he saw, Craig rushed inside right after leaving the area. But he found no one in the house or anywhere around the window. After this event, things reportedly became even stranger for him. He later purchased a simple camera for his daughter. About a week later, while reviewing the pictures taken with it, he discovered a disturbing image that had no clear explanation. When he showed the photo to his mother-in-law, she was deeply shocked. She said the figure in the image looked exactly like her grandmother, who had passed away in the early 1980s. It is unclear whether the photo is connected to the earlier strange event in the house, but Craig believes something unusual is going on.
The reason I know it's not a squatter is because I've been working in the house about 2, maybe 2.5, 3 months beforehand. And this was the last day of work in there. I just removed all my tools from the property. And when I say the house was empty, there was nothing. There was nothing in it. No furniture, no tools. I mean, there's nothing. It's an empty home. So seeing the blinds twitching from the corner of my eye is what made me go ahead and take the pictures that I did. I was actually trying to video it. But anyway, as soon as I seen this, I entered the home again. looked around in the closets, everywhere you think someone could hide. I mean, there's not many places, shower or whatever. Went in there, looked up in the attic, and there was nothing. And that was a hard thing to do, let me.
He says the situation has only gotten worse over time. Craig admits he is unsure what was actually inside the house, but he suspects it may be something paranormal. He even says he would have preferred finding a real person rather than what he believes was something unnatural, as he now feels uneasy even entering the property. Some people think it could be a disturbing entity that is somehow copying the grandmother's appearance, but for now, the situation remains unexplained. A man who lived close to the Swiss Alps started hearing unusual noises coming from the mountains late one night. Feeling both curious and a little uneasy, he picked up his camera and went out to find the source of the sounds himself.
Da li je moguće? Ne znam da ste vidli, ili mislim možda što sam sam ovde, kao da mi se učinilo. Ne znam da ste vidli, molim vas zavratite. Ništa se ne vidi. Ništa ne vidim i dalje. Čini mi se kao da je mrdnulo malo.
He began climbing into the snowy heights, trying to trace where the noises were coming from. As he went deeper into the mountains, he eventually noticed something strange in the distance. Far away, there were two very large, dark shapes standing still on the mountain. At first, he thought they might be statues placed there by someone. But after a short moment, he felt like the figures moved slightly, which immediately caught him off guard. The experience left him shocked and unsure of what he was seeing. Even though the situation was frightening, he later said that instead of feeling danger, he strangely felt a sense of calm while looking at them. To this day, no one has been able to explain what those figures were or whether they were even real. In the first clip, a woman named Tasha is trying to relax in her bedroom when she suddenly gets startled by strange noises. Out of nowhere, she hears knocking sounds coming from somewhere in the house. It immediately puts her on edge. She later explains that her husband and children were asleep at the time, so they didn't hear anything, but she was awake and clearly affected by it. The unusual activity doesn't stop there. In another video recorded later, she shares footage from her home security camera. Earlier that same day, someone had visited her home to perform a sage cleansing in hopes of clearing any negative energy. However, at around 2:53 a.m., the next morning, something else happens. If you listen closely to the recording, faint whispers and soft footsteps can be heard near the front porch area. It sounds like something might be lingering just outside the house, out of sight. Some people believe these events could be linked, suggesting that the strange activity might be a reaction to the cleansing. Knocking, whispering, and footsteps are often described in similar situations where people feel like something is trying to get attention. Others think there could be a simpler explanation. Houses can make knocking sounds naturally, especially at night when materials expand or settle. Security cameras can also distort audio, making distant sounds like wind or movement seem closer or clearer than they really are. Without clear visual proof, it's impossible to say for sure what caused the noises. Still, being alone at night while hearing unexplained sounds in your home is enough to make anyone uneasy. Hopefully, whatever was happening there has now stopped, allowing Tasha and her family to feel comfortable in their home again.